But it's a staggering thing to me that people can engage in such kind of hateful politics and then get frustrated when we hold them accountable for it. You know, if they said on the Windshape Retreat website that they don't welcome Jews, or they don't welcome blacks, or they don't welcome any other subset of the population, they would be vilified and would absolutely be barred from any university in the country. But because we're gay people and they're hiding behind their Christian values, I'm making air quotes now, they're allowed to get away with it. And I find it appalling.
And then in the face of that, there's been at least twice that the CEO has issued a letter of apology or explanation. Saying that we don't hate people.
We don't hate people. We love everyone. Everyone's welcome to spend their money here so we can give it to anti-gay hate groups.
Which sounds very Kirk Cameron to me.
Well, that makes me bananas too.
Me too.
Piers Morgan, who is I think a friend of the gay, Piers Morgan said, I think Kirk was brave for coming on the show and espousing his views, and I was like, no, Piers, he's not brave. He's a bigot. And he's cherry picking the Bible. And that makes me bananas. Yeah. You don't get to hold me accountable to a book in the Bible that you yourself are not living by. And if you're living by Leviticus, you're going to get locked up because you're fucking crazy.
For sure.
So shut the fuck up. Get your Bible off my body. Get it out of my life. Get it out of my rights. I think Jesus was amazing. I think the Bible is an extraordinary book. But get it out of our politics before I punch somebody.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I went on a rant that was far less articulate last week about Kirk Cameron in particular. And those that every time they say something that in some way vilifies or is negative about the LGBT community.
That we're responsible for the destruction of civilization?
Yeah.
I think overpopulation might be more at the heart of that, my Christian friend.
And then the backtrack is always, but we love everyone and we practice the love of everyone. And it's just shut the fuck up. And you are not allowed to say those words after you've made comments like you already have.
Exactly. I mean, I'm a fierce First Amendment advocate. Say whatever you want. I will defend your right to say it. But don't tell me you love me afterwards.
It makes you at worst a coward. For being absolutely hypocritical.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, and taking it one step further, something that just bothers me to no end is the fact that certain Christian groups exclaim that they have a right at the political table and then don't want to be taxed or any of the other things that should come with those kinds of scenarios. They're trying to be political action groups and they're not. They're religious groups. Like like you said, Peter, get out of my politics.
Get out of my politics.
Bothers me.
Well, I mean, we could talk for 90 minutes about the separation of church and state, and I mean, anyway.
Keep it separate.
Mm-hmm.
Done.
You want to talk about the MPAA and the bully documentary, Chad?
Speaking of government, I mean, there's this documentary coming out that a lot of people are familiar with. It's called Bully. And the MPAA has given it an R rating. And
have you seen the trailer, by the way? Have you watched it?
Yes, I've seen the trailer. It looks amazing.
It is devastating.
And heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. And the MPAA says for strong language and violence, they've given it an R rating. And there's been a lot of outcry, particularly by a student who has collected 200,000 signatures.
A lesbian
student who has since delivered this 200,000 signatures to the MPAA. I don't know actually what's happened since the delivery, but people want it to be brought down to a PG-13 rating, so it's accessible to a wider audience.
Just quickly to explain the MPAA's side of this argument.
Yes, please, because you've had experience with the MPAA, right?
I have. I have had two films rated by them, but and I'm not a huge MPAA fan. I think they oversimplify things, and I think they come down on the side of studios versus independents. Like the same behavior in an independent film will get an R rating that would get a PG-13 in a studio film. So I think they're a little hypocritical in their own right. But regarding this particular film, they have a rule that if the word fuck is used in a sexual context or more than once, the film automatically gets an R rating. So that's their hard and fast rule. They have a few hard and fast rules. You can blow somebody's brains out, but if you use the word fuck in a sexual context or more than once, it's an R rating. In the film, the bully tells the hero that he's going to fuck him in what is clearly a sexual context, and clearly horrible and abusive and awful. And it's one of the really powerful moments of the film. But it also crosses the line for the MPAA. So that's their argument. I think it's really, really sad, and use some judgment. And they have bent these rules every which way in different situations. This is a time to bend them. It's a time to bend them. And I think the pressure that's being applied might actually work. And here's a case, by the way, of lazy activism.
I'm the kind of person, though, that from the get-go was excited about this whole issue, because I think about the publicity this has garnered for the film, and what a beautiful film for this to happen.
Well, Harvey Weinstein's putting it out.
The master of marketing and PR.
He did not miss the opportunity here for sure.
Yeah. And for that reason, I know it's kind of like a Prop 8 scenario. It's like it's a really negative thing to have happen with some actually very positive results
that have come out of it. Absolutely. And I think the truth is, the kids who need to see the film will probably be more excited to see it, knowing that it had an R rating or has an R rating. I mean, remember the power that had when you were 15, 14, 13?
Oh my God, it was so cool.
It was just, you remember being snuck into your first R-rated film without your parents? Like,
I do. Candyman.
My very Christian cousin took me to see a dirty, it was My Tutor.
I don't know that movie.
I remember that.
What's that?
It was like an early 80s sex comedy. About a boy who's banging his hot French tutor.
And was that also a very dark movie theater?
No.
I'm kidding.
Beg your pardon.
I think I know what time it is, Andrew.
What time is it, Chad?
It's time for some penetrating questions.
I'm really disappointed about that.
Why?
Because we have some other things to talk about that are really awesome. Are we really going to do this now?
We have 10 minutes left.
We only have 10 minutes?
I know, it's going by so fast.
Dude, let's talk for 3 more minutes about something. Pick one more. We had some good subjects.
My God. The death of gay TV.
Yeah, go for it. I don't, yeah. Go for it.
All right, gay TV is not dead.
Like yelling.
Gay TV is not dead. But Logo did announce,
yes, that's true.
In the past, I mean, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, they did announce that that Logo's going straight.
They're going back in the closet.
They're going back in the closet, like your college roommate. Which I just think is heartbreaking. I'm really bummed to hear it. And I really didn't like the statement, which was like, well, gays are so mainstream now that we don't need a gay network, and we're not showing up to support it. And I was like, so what about black people? They show up to support BET just fine.
One of the articles that I read was arguing that gay people can't carry the leads in shows. And like the people want to see.
I think it might have been just really bad programming.
That's true.
Can I jump in here for a second?
Mm-hmm.
Andrew's having to do deep breathing, by the way, during this conversation. Just cracking me up.
So, Logo and here, I'm not going to just single out Logo, and even way back to the days of QTV, had some really great opportunities, I think, to be cutting edge, to be different, to change minds, to open eyes, to make us as a gay audience sit up and listen and pay attention and give a shit. And the same goes for the straight community. Actually tune in to see some things that LGBT people had to say and do and mean and like. And I think all 3 of them just fucked it up. I think they all squandered opportunities to create some really beautiful original programming. They decided to spend money in ways that they shouldn't on things that they thought they had opportunities to make more money from. And they were safe. They played it safe. And because they played it safe and because they made the creative decisions that they did and spent the money in the ways that they did, they really fucked up some beautiful opportunities. And I know a lot of people that work in LGBT media, and I love and respect them for doing what they do. And I know that we don't always know the simple answer, or we believe we know that the answer is simple. And it's sometimes much more complicated about how decisions are made and why they're made. But I have a little bit of an inside scoop there. And I was a part of some things that I'm very proud of. But I also witnessed some decisions being made that I really objected to. And it's tough. It's a tough subject for me. And I think back to 10 years ago when MTV proper was doing things like The Real World and really great versions of True Life and Made. And I really wish Logo and Here could have replicated those kind of ideals and those kind of shows for an LGBT audience. And I think they failed.
I can't argue with that.
You mean you didn't love The Lair?
The Lair has its place. I prefer The Lair to some other things, to other stuff that's like,
Sure.
Just burn off programming. Like when Logo became the graveyard of MTV's series that were vaguely queer, I was like, what's the point of this? Heartbreaking. Yeah,
it's so hard to be specific because there were some things on all those networks that were really wonderful.
Yeah, that
and
had
some things on those
shots.
networks that were just awful, and it's hard for I think you and I to be specific.
I was
friends that were
not
parts
for
of
nothing.
lots of
I was on
things.
that network 24 hours a day for a while. It was like Queer as Folk reruns, and then Rick and Steve came along. I was like, you could not turn on channel 177 or whatever the hell it was.
You're the
and
Michael
not hear
Caine
me.
of Logo.
Exactly. I'm the Gene Hackman.
God bless Alan Broca, by the way, who's a fucking genius.
He is a genius. Absolutely. Funniest show. That show won the International Animation Festival. It was up against
and
The
Steve?
Simpsons and Family Guy. It won the biggest award in animation.
It was one of my favorite shows on Logo ever.
That's incredible.
Did you ever watch it?
I've seen bits of it.
Okay.
You should. It's just a laugh out loud funny. I don't take any credit for it. All right. Oh wow. That's our time. Is that now penetrating questions?